Welcome to the Data and IT channel. Here you are listening to the audiobook. The book name is 5M Club, written by Robin Sharma. Today we'll exploring the chapter 16. Now the 5M Club embraces the twin cycle of the elite performance with freedom book followers and the moon. Who could you be happy? Oscar Wilde. The billionaire was seated alone on the spacious trance of the private cottage he had rented on a wine estate in a France Hook, South Africa. As he wrote his daily diaries, Mr. Riley reflected on the marvelous happiness, uncommon exuberance, and striking beauty that was present at the wedding of the entrepreneur. And the artists in Sao Paulo, they were clearly meant for each other. The universe works in interesting and absolutely intelligent way, he thought. And if there was a union that would go the distance, it would be this one. As the magnet made notes in his journal, birds sang their carefree song and gardeners in blue work uniform dug into the soil of the vineyard with shiny shovel while speaking energetically in thick South African accents. The tangled yet lovingly arranged wings on wooden stakes spoke of an enchantment that nature alone afforded while a mystical wisp of fog slowly migrated from the Franschhoek Valley up towards the surrounding mountains. A little earlier at 5 a.m., the billionaire had taken the entrepreneur and the artist on the mountain bike ride that began the wine farm, then meandered down Daniel Hugo Street and into the village, past well-used horse stable, lazy dogs, and moved as slow as a snail on the Prozac and rose buses that had twisted along the white picket fences that had been erected along both sides of the rough dirt road. It really was a near perfect little place the billionaire had selected as the setting for his second to last mentoring sessions. The lesson that billionaire had presented as the three of them wrote together centered on the vital importance of balancing elite personal performance with the deep self renewal for sustained masterful achievements. The Titan explained the value of alternating time in the world pursuing success at the highest level with time in the wilderness, recovering a symmetry needed to ensure a strong harmony between winning at work and richness in a life. And Go guarantee that his students played the long game ground their assets of genius. And the billionaire also explained that massive productivity in society without an abundant herd, an authentic sense of joyfulness and enduring inner peace was no different from the game a hamster plays on a running wheels. It thinks it's moving, yet it remains in a case. The early morning rays melted into the lush greenery, the Mughal paddled in shiny red bicycle, talked excitedly and laughed festival, optimistic, throughput, truthful laughs, the kind of laugh we all long to experience more of in our lives. He also continued to cough a lot. One time he even spat up some blood. Yet, because the billionaire seemed vibrant and usually healthy, the entrepreneur and the artist remained only somewhat concerned for their generous mentor's well being. Perhaps this was this mistakes, but the newlyweds were so in the moment that they didn't spend much time trying to figure out what was going on. In, re- in retrospect, they would wish they had. When three companions took a break from riding, Stone Riley presented the husband and wife with another learning model, which he pulled out of the blue backpack. It looked like this. The twin cycle of the elite performance, protection of the five assets of genius, mental focus, the deep refusing cycle, DRC, HEC, the highest excellence, original talent, daily time. The billionaire taught that exceedingly excellent creative productions without calibrated human assets productions lead to noticeable performance reductions. What he meant by was this becoming legendary in your industry in all about sustainability and making sure you show up at the world class not just for a month or even for an entire years. The real sport of the captain of commerce, the great masters of the arts, the visionaries of the science, the heroes of the humanities, and the gents of the athletes in the preserving your A game over a lifetime. Longevity really is a key to legendary. He reinforced this. He told his two appreciative student is one of the main key of your rise to iconic. You really must learn how to balance working intensely and brilliantly with a deep rest and recovery so you can remain fresh and strong over a long career. As you do this, you won't blow out your gifts by hyper extending them in the same way that some pro athletes blow out their knees, preventing them from ever playing again. The genius all know and apply this remarkably important principle. As the billionaire sipped sweet dark coffee, he explained that what makes the great men and women of the world exceptional, in part, is their implementation of the phenomenon known as superconscious super compensations. Just as a muscle steers when you stress it to the edge of its capacity and then actually grows during the pause of recovery. Your five assets of genius serves when you actively push them past their usual limits and then allow for a period of regeneration. Mr. Riley pointed to the framework on the paper and said, "See, cats, the little known key to traffic success over the long term lies in a simple word. Oscillation, I mentioned it in a Sao Paulo, but you are both ready to go deeper. We definitely are, declare the entrepreneur. Get this, the billionaire said. When the scientists studied the great Russian weightlifters, they discovered that secret behind their undefeatability was their work rest ratio. What does that what does that mean? Asked the artist as the companion walked their mountain bikes along a trail at the edge of a fabulous vineyard. Your growth happens when you are resting, replied the billionaire in the straightforward way. Makes no logical sense, right? The billionaire went on. In fact, this productivity rule is one of the most central yet paradoxical truth the spellbinder revealed to me as I was building my global empires. The mainstream thinking tells us that to get more done, we must put in more hours. To achieve more, we need to do more. But solid research now confirm that kind of linear approach, work harder to produce better, is seriously flawed. It isn't sustainable. It just leads to burnout, exhaustion, loss of inspiration, and the reductions of your private fire to lead the field and enhance our world. That old school way of operating also causes a visceral depletion of very human resources, which, if applied intelligently, will make you master of your marketplace. What you are sharing reminds me the 60-10 methods, remarked the artist happily. He was dressed in a riding gears the billionaire had provided, and given his now daily practice the 2020 formula as member in a good standing of the 5M club. He looked significantly filtered, more focused, more energetic, and more self-confidence than when he showed up at the Spellbinder conference. His transformation was quite marvelous. Marvelous. Super point applauded the billionaire. And you are right, yet the learning model I am about to walk you through is so much more than that. Today, you will receive advanced insight on how to alternate work rest period to generate exponential productivity. You will also learn how to have a blast while you are doing it. This morning, you will discover how to work less yet materialize more through what pro athletes call periodizations. After we done, you both will be beyond any superficial understanding of what it takes to triumph in your sphere while living beautifully for the rest of your life. The billionaire pointed to the part of the learning framework entitled The Five Assets of Genius. As you have now learned, every morning you wake up with a full battery of creative power, each down awaken to full well of five private treasures that, if properly managed, will cause you to overcome the violence of your excuses and avoid the knife blade of your past limits, so that the great hero encoded within your soulmate, the light of the day, and enable you to become all you are meant to be. As the marker of the spectacular work as a leader without a title and as a human being dedicated to living in a way of the life most gorgeous grasses. I am all in, exclaimed the artist. And as you now know the five assets of genius, continued Mr. Riley, he looked at the diagram are your mental focus, your physical energy, your personal willpower, your original talent, and your daily time. I repeat this so you will remember this. These primary assets are their highest early in the morning. That's why you want to start your day well and perform your most important pursuits during your most valuable hours instead of wasting this precious opportunity fooling around with your technology, watching the news, and oversleeping. Got you? Confirmed the entrepreneur, ferociously taking notes in the leather journal she received in Rome. A colorful scarf with elegant pattern on it gave her ponytail a dramatic look this particular morning. And the essential point of today's learning is this: the billionaire spoke as he pointed to the center of the model. Top performance truly isn't linear game. Elite accomplishment is much more like a heartbeat, more like a rhythm, more like a pulse. If you want to show up as a great masters over a decade, so you you literally dominate your dominance domain for an entire career and lead a life you love well into old age. You absolutely need to alternate high excellence cycles, those periods of intense and the fantastic output, with a time of meaningful recovery, deep refueling cycles. Please study this, the billionaire requested, tapping an index finger on the printed framework. Just so I am clear, said the artist as he inhaled the fresh air. HEC is our high excellence cycle, and DRC is our deep refueling cycle. Yes, replied the billionaire. Today, his black t shirt had white lettering on it, and that read, Yes, I am in relationship with myself. His weirdness was magnificent. And so, your main move, if you want an enduring victory professionally as well as personally, is to oscillate the tycoon carried on to cycle period of passionate, monomanically focused and pointed work at the highest grade with blocks of time set for refueling, relaxing, recovering, and pure fun. It really is like your heartbeat pulsing. I so love these concepts you are kindly teaching us. Noted the entrepreneur. This will be another needle mover for my business life and for my private world. Yes, it will be, agreed the billionaire succinctly. Growth does happen in the resting phase. That's counterintuitive, right? We have been program, programmed to think that if we are not creating producing, we are wasting our time. We feel guilty if we are not doing. But look at this. The baron unzipped a nylon carrying case that had been fastened around his waist. He pulled out two medals that appeared to be made of gold and placed them around the necks of the entrepreneur and the artist, as one would do in the celebration of a champion. One each medal, these words are engraved. The legendary performance equations: pressure, refueling, growth, plus endurance. Tennis great Billie Jean King said that pressure is a privilege. The billionaire reminded his two students, see, pressure and stress aren't bad. They are not. Question the entrepreneur. No, they are actually absolutely necessary for the expansion of your capacity, voiced the billionaire. You must you must push your talents hard. The billionaire continued. Even when you don't want to past your comfort zone, only then they grow. Always remember this. The time you least feel like doing something is the best time to do it. And part of the reason for this, as you also now know, is because when you enlarge your willpower muscles in one important area, your self discipline in every other area rises with you. The larger point I am trying to make here is that pressure and stress are wonderful blessings that a player exploit. Our gifts don't increase when we stay in our safety circle. No, challenge and stretch your capacities past the normal, muscles expanding only when we take them past our usual limits, and then allow for some time to refuel and recover. The billionaire surveyed the vineyard, then he added, I recall having a fascinating conversations with a pro athlete who showed up at one of my charity dinner. You know what he told me? What wondered the artist. I raced to allow my training to take effect, pronounced the billionaire. Profound way of seeing things. All work, no break depletes your guarantees over time. Murmured the entrepreneur, rolling her mountain bike over to stake and learning the seat against it. If you want to build a stronger abdominal muscles, you stress them past their current boundaries, said the billionaire. If you usually do 100 sit-ups, you do 200s. If you do 200 in your daily quota, go up to the 300. This actually causes the muscles to rip apart. The exercise psychologists call the phenomenon micro tearing. Yet, if you want to muscles to grow, you can't keep exercising it relentlessly or you will experience injury. You need to rest the muscles for a day or two. And it's in that recovery cycle when the actual growth happens, interjected the artist, locking in on the principle he was learning. Absolutely correct. Exhausted, enthused, enthused the billionaire. Growth happens in the resting phase, not in the performing stage. Recall early in our work together on my beach in Mauritius. I told you cats I grew up on the farm long before I moved to Mollyview. Think so, spoke the entrepreneur. Mauritius feel like another lifetime ago. Well, there's a metaphor that I learned at our farm that will help you fully understand the twin cycle of elite performance. Talk to any farmer and she will tell you about the follow seasons. Before it, there's an intense period when the soil gets tilled, crops get planted and serious work get done. Then there's that season of resting. Seems like nothing's happening, looks like time is wasting. Yet here's the neat part. It's in the follow seasons that the harvest is really blossoming. All the produce that sows during the autumn is just the vegetable and result. The billionaire slurped some more coffee. He is he spilled a little on his t-shirt. The container that held a Java had dream big, start small, begin now written on it. A yellow butterfly with tender flapping wings that had blood red veins along them glided by. Three eagles announced their authority overhead. God, I love butterflies, the billionaire said wistfully, and the rainbows, shooting stars, full moons, and glorious sunsets. Why we alive if you are not going to be totally alive? I was like a robot when I was in my 20s. He admitted I took myself too seriously, didn't have a minute to waste. Every hours was scheduled. Every car ride had to have an audiobook running. All flight time was about productivity. Here's the things. His voice trailed off as his eyes appeared lonely, melan- melancholic, and lost. I was exhausted a lot of time. The spellbinder saved my life. He really did, and the model I am walking you through this morning helped immensely. The billionaire took a deep breath, then went on. My assets of genius become eroded over time. My creative was uh, floundering as my effectiveness. I have since realized that I am paid by my group of companies to think, to come up with vision and ideas for new products and innovations that will shatter the compass and deliver homo- humongous values to all our clients around the world. But I didn't understand that back then. The spellbinder assisted me enormously, taught me the twin cycle of elite performance during our very first coaching sessions, and insisted relentlessly that I implemented them instantly and consistently. But boy, did I fight him on this one. It was just so against my nature to relax and breathe and to pause. Now I totally get that rest is the very things that enables our primal greatness to unfold. The entrepreneur nodded her head in understanding. If I am not working, I feel super guilty, like I am doing something wrong. Self care is essential to self love, remarked the billionaire. All I am saying is I now understand that balance is vastly important to world class performance. Working day and night didn't make me more efficient at all. It just made me more tired and cranky. So now I make the time to rest, to nourish myself, to mountain bike, to read the books I have always wanted to read, to enjoy a glass of excellent wine like the glass of amazing Pinotaus I savored last night in front of the blazing fire in my cottage here in the valley. Ironically, as I have practiced this kind of recovery, my creativity has multiplied, my productivity has soared, and my results have skyrocketed. It's just so profound. I work less, have more fun, and yet I get way more done. Mr. Ali then reached into his blue backpack and pulled out a piece of white material which looked like it came from the sail of a schooner. Remarkably, you could see the drawing of Albert Einstein in a sailboat on it. If you were there in that precious vineyard, but then you would have seen this. The industrialist continued his discourse out in that delightful vineyard. Oh, yes, cool cats having fun is so very essential to leading your fields, upgrading your personal life, and inspiring the world. All of the amazing creative Creatives and productive icons of history had one thing in common, you know. Tell us, please, requested the entrepreneur as her bangles made a clink clink sound. Her new wedding rings simmered in the morning sunlight. The billionaire flipped into a quick handstand. He then beat his chest fast with a single fist as he whispered these words to himself. This day is priceless. All the money in the world will not bring it back again. And so I seize it and I savor it and I honor it. This day, I fill my mind with a big dreams, so there is a no space for petty doubts. I replace the psychology of can't with mentality of can, and I remember that my greatness growth lies at the jagged, jagged edge of my highest limits. This day, I'll recall that until my mission become my obsessions, my gifts will never become my glory, and until my hunger to serve transcend and transcend the insecurities of my life, myself. I'll miss the grand chance of these precious hours to be a vehicle for helpfulness. This day, I reloaded my devotions to avoid a counterfeit novelty, staying sincere, humbles with both feet on this sacred ground. Should naysayers and bad actors throw rocks at me, I reply with kindness and love in the face of their bad behavior. Even if they don't deserve it, should critics make fun of me, as they always have since I was a kid. I'll take the rocks they throw at me and make them into monuments of mastery. And should anyone call me strange, as they often do, I'll smile with blatant wisdom stuck deep in my heart that it's only misfits, oddballs, and eccentrics that change our world. Being different in really cool and eccentricity is very heap. It was quite a sensational scene. Stone rally upside down, beating his chest as if to activate his heart and reciting his poetry. Words are creative, you know, he articulated as he stood up and inhaled a big gulp of fresh choke air. Speak the words of the unchained heroism. Talk the preach of the passionate possibilitarians. Use the languaging of hope, the sentencing of power, and the phrasing of the leaderships and unbridled love. I manage my words meticulously. Even morning, every morning, the billionaire looked at the vines. Anyhow, he added, all great genius really loved to play. They understood that having fun is a potent form of recovery. They all had leisure activities that recharge their empathy batteries. Einstein loved to sail. Aristotle and Charles Dickens adored Delhi walks. Hollywood superstar Meryl Streep used to knit. Steve Wozniak played polo. Bill Gates master breeze and surgery Brian would often be up on high flying trapeze. Time away from work isn't a waste. The tycoon reinforced it's a must. Offer a space for incubation of very ideas that will make you a fortune. So work less to get more done. That's a pretty much what the twin cycle of elite performance model is all about. I'm understanding the 60-10 more methods value even more. The artist contributed. I guess this also means it's okay to have a few days off every week. Not only okay but necessary to guard our five assets of genius. The very ones that a player leverage to realize industry prominence so their work stands the test of time. To be specific and tactical, take at least 2 full days off each week. No technology, zero device days in is what the spellbinder calls them. Full recovery and very quarter take of even more time. For decades, I've taken June, July, August to vacation. I sell, bike, sleep, read, swim, chill with my friends, have the happiest times with my daughters, and experience life at its best. You cats may not be able to take time much this much time off, but I need to tell you that during these renewal cycles I do my best thinking and planning and get my best insights. I always return to the office a thousand times more inspired, one fire and alive. Another butterfly floated by. The vineyard seemed to whisper of the wonderful miracles to come. Through the sun now stood in its full radiance glory, a thin slip of moon competed for attention in a big African sky. It was breathtaking. The entrepreneur grasped her husband's hand. This is magical, she said. You know, guys, Mr. Riley said as he picked up his bike and started walking along the secret back road that he had somehow discovered. Heaven on earth isn't some mystical, spiritual place to aspire to. It's not some realm reserved only for saints, seers, and sages. Not at all, I have discovered, and boy, have I lead a colorful, intense life all these years. That heaven on earth is a state that anyone can create. The billionaire was now deepening the conversation significantly and growing even more philosophical around this particular lesson on the work life boundaries for sustained legendary performance and a happier existence. Because business victory without a joyful heart misses the opportunity. I feel really blessed in my life, some Stone Riley stated. I live mostly in the magic. The magic wondered the artist, now pulling on two deadlocks on unlacing unlacing his biking shoes. The magic confirmed the billionaire, looking serene yet confronted, relaxed yet thoughtful, playful yet spiritual. I have learned that being successful without feeling soulful is the highest of defeats. The entrepreneur and the artist sat down next to each other on the soil of the vineyard. The billionaire kept on. While I have always been passionate about advancing my companies and expanding my commercial interests, mostly to see how far I can go and to help me fuel my philanthropic work. I am equally dedicated to savoring the magic of the life astoundingly well lived. Winning without enjoying is nothing. Not so sure, I get you, admitted the entrepreneur as a truck carrying a gaggle of workers with charismatic smiles sailed by. It's a great morning, one shouted. I love my work so much and I do get a lot of pleasure from the homes, the goods and the toys I own, but I needed none of it. I have my things and my public reputation as a global business person. Yet I don't identify with it. I am not attached to any of this. As I grow older, I still love the pleasure of this world very much, but I don't require them for my happiness and peacefulness. I have come to see it all as a big game, a sport of sorts. I own my things, but they don't own me. The Baron continued, and though I play in the world, I also adore the wilderness, not only metaphorically but literally, like here experiencing the natural wonders of this ethereal valley in France Hook. This, too, is how I live the twin cycles model. I make time to enjoy life completely. The magic repeated the billionaire as singing words seemed to croon louder and the flutter of even more butterflies showed up to listen in on the conversations. God, life is beautiful. Don't miss out on all its awesomeness and incredibleness. It's there for you, no matter what you might be going through. See, we all live on borrowed time, and life does whiz by so quickly. So, you two cats will be old before you know it, probably hanging out with a hundred's grandchildren, he said with a chuckle. Anyhow, Mr. Raleigh spoke in the whisper. Utopia, Sangrila, Nirvana, and heaven on earth are just names for a state of being, not a place of visiting. You enter the magic of life and being to experience outright bliss. Daily, once you reclaim the inherent power that lurk in your core. And when you don't postpone being grateful for even an tiniest of everyday graces, you will become a magnet of miracles when you begin being a magician of sorts. The billionaires getting into some pretty mystical and a far out territory now, thought the entrepreneur. Heaven and earth recited the Indus list. My life is generally a steady stream of beauty, and I have discovered this has little to do with having a lot of money. It has more to do with finding fulfillment in the smallest of things. The way the fire warmed me and inspired me last evening, for example, it has to do with spending a lot of time in the nature. Whether that's in vineyard like these, he said, pointing and indexing fingers across the wine farm that filled the valley, or on walks in a forest, or hiking in the mountains, or being near the sea, or drafting through the sand of barren desert. It has to do with reconnecting to the awe, wonder, and majesty that every human life has available to it by visiting art galleries frequently and letting the energy and genius of the creators infuse your mindset, heart sets, health sets, and soul sets. It has to do with eating fresh food, simply prepared with interesting, real, thoughtful, creative, and mm, compassionate people who make you feel good. Stepping into the magic also has a lot to do with saying goodbye your turn past, embracing the present and making a return to the imaginativeness, innocence, exuberance and lovingness you were intimate with when you were a child. Adults are deterior- deteriorated children. Heaven on earth shows up naturally in your heart when you have the brilliance and bravery to start opening it up again, like you did when you were little. Picasso once said, "It took me 4 years to paint like Raphael, but a lifetime to paint like a child." Contributed the artist energetically. I'd agree that getting back to be a more innocent bring the magic back to our lives. The billionaire stopped. He rested his bike and waved for his two students to follow him over to an areas of vineyard that had a black metal sign marked Chenin Blanc in a bright yellow letter. Stone Riley then fell to his knees. The entrepreneur, the artist, watched him draw a learning model in the mineral rich soil of the terror. It looked exactly like this: joy as a GPS. People fuel, people pursuit fuel, place fuel, your personal GPS. The magic. The billionaire mused, still whispering, as he stood up straight as a soldier. His eyes were closed now. His thick hair fluttered slightly in the mild wind. As he placed one hand to this hurt, more doves materialized. I am really into breezes these days. You'd only appreciate them if you didn't have them anymore. Like I am saying, there's such an enhancement to life. It's right in front of you, available to anyone. We all can become magician of sorts. But to experience this higher reality I am speaking of, to reality find it, you will need to leave the world a lot, play in a common society and succeed in the game it sells you, but disconnect from it often. So you are never really owned by it, because the support the majority is playing is only an illusion, sort of waking dream that too many good people are donating the best morning of this finest days to, as they put money over meaning, profits over people, popularity over integrity, being busy over family, and achievements over loving the basics miracles of how of the now. The billionaire's eyes remained closed. Next, he lifted both hands towards the heaven as he liked to do. You enter the magic by using your joy as a GPS. Disclosed the billionaire, speaking directly to the diagram he had drawn in the dirt. To know every increasing amounts of happiness, trust what makes you feel happy. Your heart knows where you need to be. It's so much wiser than your head. Instinct knows so much more than intellect, and intuition is smarter than reasons. That's for sure. Our intelligence is made up of what those around us have taught us. It's limited, it's confined by logic and what's been done before. Your sovereign self knows better. It operates in possibility, not practicality. It's visionary, it's unlimited. Not sure I understand you, said the entrepreneur follows your joy, instruct Mr. Raleigh. Only be around those people who fuel your joy. Only perform those pursuits that feed your bliss. Only be in those places that makes you feel most alive. Look, I know it's hard to live this model perfectly, so please see this framework as an ideal to move toward. And like everything else I've taught you, it's a process, not event. It'll take time, but it begins with being aware of this model and then allowing your joy to be your GPS. The billionaire started walking with mountain bike and gently motioned for his two students to follow. Ah, the magic that lives at the essence of life, love it so much, fills me with more serenity and tranquility than any material object ever has. And this is the importance of balancing being successful with being soulful. The billionaire clenched his arms tightly and looked as if he was dealing with severe pain, severe pain yet again. Your heart is always wiser than your head. He repeated softly. It knows where you must be. Follow it, trust it, you will find the magic. The billionaire gave a signal, and instantly from behind a scare, scarecrow, an assistant dashed across the vineyard to his employer. A silver spade was handed to the billionaire and quick hug was exchanged. The magnate began to dig with gusto. Soon a clack could be heard as metal struck metal. Mr. Raleigh knelt to the ground and began whipping soil from a steel box that had been embedded into the earth. As he did this, he started yodeling, much as folk singers in Switzerland or Austria do. It was something else to watch the industrialist as he dug and to hear him sing. The entrepreneur and artist were mesmerized. The box was then opened and colossal care. Inside were 11 magic charms, each attached to a letter. In that moment, sunshine radiating over the billionaire created the effect of another simmering halo. I'm a part of all that is, mumbled the billionaire to himself. The great power of the universe is within me. All I desire with active faith, positive expectancy, and purposeful convictions is on its way to me. And if that which I wish for does not come, it's simply because something even better is on its way. I know this belief to be true. All wizards know it to be true. The entrepreneur and artist started at each other's eyes wide open. What are doing? What are you doing? Quizzed the artist. I am using one of my incantations, incantations, incantation, responded the billionaire. He added more yodeling to the end of his sentence, then said, you can't produce magic in your life until you learn the luminous art of the real magicians. Abruptly, the box began to rise and hover over the soil for just a moment. The mouth of the entrepreneur and the artist were now as open as rose in springtime. The artist was little unnerved. Optical illusions, someone taught you, right? Maybe yes, maybe no, Mr. Raleigh replied, only heighten the mystery. Each of these magic charm will help you remember one of the 11 maxims I have been applying over these past decades for increasing my self financial fortune and for experiencing an exotic life. Exotic, exotic life. Like I said, my days provide a steady stream of beauty, dawned away, and relentless wonder. Heaven on earth, the billionaire reiterated, reiterated, and I want you both to live like this too. The cool thing is that anyone can create this kind of an existence, but very few people alive today know how to manifest one. And each associated letter will bring together some of the themes key themes I have shared with you on this sensational adventure, sort of the summarizing things as we approach the end. The Mogul added. The first charm was a small mirror. Here's what the letter attached to it said. The billionaire maxim 1: to create a magic in the world, own the magic within yourself. Look in the mirror yourself with you predict your relationship with the world. Remember that you have a permitted longing for silence and solitude, and that it is a quietude that self awareness rises. French mathematicians Blaise Pascal wrote, all of the humanity's problems stem from man's inability to sit quietly in a room alone. Release your need for complexity and immerse yourself in stillness. Only the early morning can provide, so you get to know yourself again. Because flight from solitude really is an escape from freedom. To become an everyday magician, so your life is rich with passions, plenty, and peace. Grow more comfortable being still. So you start to hear the whispers of the great genius who, who slumbers within you. In restfulness, you will remember all you truly are. You will reach you will recess that supreme self abundant with creativity, potency, invincibility, and a love that has no conditions. In this century of silence, you will also be afforded some things so rare in this age. Time for yourself to be, and more you do so, the more you will discover how life really works. You will also begin to differentiate between your beliefs that are merely cultural constraint and those that are actual truth, and between the trustworthy voice of your intuitions and the persuasive pronouncements of your fears. In solitude, you will also receive the disruptive insights that will transform your field. I know it sounds strange, but amid serenity, you will actually visit the alternate reality in which visionaries like Nikola Tesla, Albert Einstein, Grace Hopper, Thomas Edison, John D. Rockefeller, Marie Curie, Andrew Carnegie, Catherine Graham, Sam, Sam Walton, Rosalind Franklin, and Steve Jobs, among other luminaries, spent much time. Why do you think the legendary scientists, investors, industrialists, and artists all made so much effort to be alone? I have shared with you that long stretches spent in noiseless contemplation is one of the secrets of the advanced mind. Ultimately, you are the only person you will be the with your entire life. Why not strengthen your relationship with your greatest self, fully know your genius, and start a lifetime love affair with your most noble nature? The second magic charm was in form of flower. The billionaire released its fragrance. He then smiled and passed the letter associated with it to his students for their review. It read, "The billionaire maxim to collect miraculous experience over the material things. The world has wardened and hardened you as a child. Your instinct showed you how to spot the miraculousness of a snowflake, find a fortune in a spider wave, and adore the splendor of falling leaves on a colorful autumn morning. The pursuit wasn't about acquiring things, it was about exploring life. To switch the lens through which you see the life from one that views what's ordinary to one that perceives the extraordinary is to to multiply your ability to create miracles and re-engage with the lost purity you knew you in your youth before a broken society trained you to value objects or cash over joys and delights, laugh more often, dance more regularly, and play more frequently, please. The future holds promises of mysterious good. Anything can happen overnight, said the majestic Florence Scovel Sin. Be more alive to the wonders that inhabit your days. Gentle breezes, squirrels chasing each other in park, and magic that is so wonderful it makes you cry. And you will begin to live as reality along with heightening your primal powers to produce even more magic in your mornings. Never sacrifice your well being and quality of life for greater annual income or larger net worth. The, the determinants of magnificent life have remained the same for centuries. A sense that you are growing and capitalizing on your human potential, effortful work that draws out your finest productivity and is profitable for humanity. Witty connections with positive people who escalate your injubilations, and time doing that which nurtures your spirit as you advance through your days with a grateful heart. Yes, in Rome, I licked my journal. It's one of the rituals I run to actively heighten my aliveness by rising my appreciation of all good blessings that have been given to me. The more vividly I value everything in my life, the more everything in my life climbs in value. So become a collector of awesome experiences instead of consumer of material things. Simplify your life and make a return to the essential enjoyments that are sitting right under your noses. As you do, you will overcome the forces that have suppressed your fire and tear down the carrot of superficiality that so many fine souls among us are stuck in. And as you continue, you will come to know how gorgeous and terrific your life really is. And please to do remember that your past is a servant that has made you all you now are. Not a companion to spend much time with in your present or a friend to carry into your spotless future. It's impossible to enter the magic that each fresh morning brings if parts of you are holding on the old disappointments, resentments, and hurts. You know that well now. Light Lightheartedness of being an ancient pain can't stand the sight of each other. So train yourself through study and ceaselessness practice to immerse yourself fully in this moment. Yes, it takes work and patience, yet savoring this very instant is an essential move for a dazzling life. This time is all you really have, and it's an empire worth more than any amount of money in the world. One day you will see. The third magic charm was a symbol of a door. Every ending marks a new beginning. All we experience happen for a helpful reason, and when one door's closed, another will always open for you. Noted the billionaire trust always that life has your back, even if what's unfolding makes no sense. The attached later read. The billionaire maxim 3. Failure inflates fearlessness. It is impossible to live without failing at something. Unless you live so cautiously that you might as well as not have lived at all, in which case you fail by default, said J.K. Rowling. The mighty Goliaths of ambition and the massive behemoth of the imagination within you must never be abdicated by the tiny cowards of what would people think. What if I get rejected and I will probably look silly if I try this? You can allow yourself to become paralyzed by a fear of resistance, or you can go out there and astonishing the world. But you just don't get to do both. Life's reality is that you have a transcendent destiny that begs for your attention in this era of crushing complexity. Stop abusing your greatness, deforming your magnificence, and denying your radiance by labeling something that didn't turn out as you wanted a failure. We all know that within every seeming setback lies a distinguished opportunity for even greater success. And start saying yes more often in your life. Courage in an exquisite weapon to defeat the armies of regret that tear away at life's meekly lived. A wooden paint brush about the size of finger was next magic charm that Mr. Raleigh carefully lifted from the metal box. This will reinforce the notions that you are a powerful creator of your life and a mighty artist around your ambitions. That productive, prosperous, sweet, and optimistic people got their great fortune by luck is a lie. I have invested a lot of time making sure you understand this point that such folks made their empires of money, vitality, and influence on a society because the stars align in a right order to breed their success is pure myth. Here, look at this, please, instructed the mentor kindly as he handed over the next letter. The billionaire's maxim 4. Proper use of your primal power creates your personal utopia. Many human beings spend their finest hour in a facade of satisfactions. By this I mean they think and say they are happy, but in reality they are miserable. They rationalize the fact they have betrayed their dreams, neglected their human treasures, and minimize the impact they could have on the planet by telling themselves to be satisfied with what they have. Instead of evolving into more, yes, be kind, widely thankful for all you have. Yet also consider that such individuals have dead ended themselves through absolute neglect and outright abandonment of their inherent power. And as a result, all sense of personal freedom and any hope of sovereignty over their lavish talent have been savaged. To enter the magic of your life, you must become aware of four creative tools that turn each of your desires into your visual results. These four resources that will allow you to materialize miracles in the world are your thoughts, your feelings, your words, and your deeds. Exercise your mind to think only thoughts that serve your ascent to mastery and happiness. Sit regularly in feelings of gratitude, positive expectancy, and love for all that you have in your life. Speak only the words of upliftment, abundance, and encouragement as you saw me doing when I was upside down, and do only those acts that are in forceful alignment with the resident hero that sits at your most wise foundation. Study someone playing small with their potential, and you will understand clearly why their conditions are as difficult as they are. They focus their thinking on their lack instead of plenty. They disrespect the potency of the word by speaking continuously of problems, by labeling their circumstances as terrible, and by classifying rewards such as vast, successful finances, wealth, contentment, and energetic service to others as impossible. Failing to understand that is their own speech that disconnects them from their capacity to craft magic. Words truly are creative multiplier, and in terms of the daily deeds of such stuck performers, they don't work hard at all, doing as little as possible while hoping for a beautiful life, believing no one see this crime against their humanity. Yet the Most High magicians within them, their conscience and their subconscious mind watch it all and witness this theft from their best. The next object was a nazar, and I like amulet that some culture used to ward off evil people. You may have seen one on one of your travels. Look, cats, I don't believe anyone in truly evil, the billionaire said to his students. Well, maybe a few, but mostly. The more I live, the more I know that every one of us has experienced various degrees of trauma in their lives. And as I said earlier, only people in pain do painful things to others. Those who are suffering create suffering, and individuals whose behavior is confusing are generally very confused themselves. They are just really hurting, and something has happened to them that has caused them to feel threatened. And so the godness at their core has contracted and closed. To call them horrible people is superficial judgment. It's a lot deeper than that quick perceptions, anyhow. Having said that, for now, let's just say that for your own maximum productivity, top performance, boundless joyfulness, and peace of mind, it's really important to avoid bad people, those who are filled with wounds from the past that they don't have the self awareness not to project onto you. I was once on a business trip in Barbados, where a taxi driver gave me this piece of wisdom, which has served me very well. Avoid bad people. The eye had this letter stuck to it. The billionaire maxim 5: avoid bad people. Never underestimate the power of your associations by the phenomenon known as emotional contagion, as well as through activations of the mirror neurons in our brains. We model the behavior of the people we spend our days with. Fill your life with exceptionally excellent enterprise, enterprising, healthy, positive, ethical, and sincere loving people. And over time, you will exemplify these lofty traits, allows dream stealers, energy thieves, and enthusiasms banded into your tight bubbles of total focus and peace. Know you are sure to become like them. The real key is to avoid trouble creators, people who have grown up in an environment riddled with drama and non-stop problems will consciously and subconsciously recreate drama, and non-stop problems became as amazing as it seems. Such conditions feel familiar, safe, and like home to them. Stay away from all drama queens and negativity kings. If you don't, sooner or later they'll dissolve your bigness and destroy your life. It's just what they do. Relate peaceful as much as possible with everyone. Even one enemy is an enemy too many. Pass through life gracefully, taking the high road when conflict shows up. Should someone do you wrong, let karma do the dirty work and let a world class life be your revenge. Clipped to the sixth letter in the metal safe box was proper paper money of the large denominations. It had been folded into a triangle for some cryptic reasons unknown to entrepreneur and the artist. This letter was longer than the other. It said, "The billionaire maxim 6: money is the fruit of generosity, not scarcity. We not misled by the dominant philosophy of the world. Poverty is the consequence of inner conditions, not an outer situations. To believe otherwise is to hand over your capacity to produce the magic of the prosperity that you want to be very things you are complaining of. Money is a currency that must flow like electricity. Yes, cash is a current. It needs to circulate. Hoarding it stops the flow of it into your business and private life. All genius magicians know this. So give more to receive more. Leave lavish tips for servers in restaurants, housekeepers in hotels, and drivers in taxi cabs. Donate to charities. Do wonderful things for your family and friends without a single thought of any return. A tsunami of absence will be sent to you. You may wonder why so many of us live in such scarcity. This state of being is due to our money scarce. These are the programs hidden deep within our subconscious that were placed there unknowingly by the messaging from our parents and the teaching of others people, childhood influencers, their common statements based on the falsehoods that were taught to them sound like be happy with what you have, or rich people are dishonest, or money doesn't grow on trees. These words planted the dark seed of the lack within us at a tender, impressionable age. Four practice have helped me make my financial fortune, and so I gifted them to you. Positive expectancy, active faith, ever increasing gratitude, and extreme value delivery. By positive expectancy, I simply mean to tell you that I always maintain a mindset where I expect money will come to me regularly and from highly expected sources. Active faith is when you behave in a way that shows life you trust it in its abundance and benevolence. The universe adores gestures of affluence, like paying for a dinner you had with your friends at an expensive restaurant when you cannot totally afford to do so, or buying the tools you need to raise your craft when there's little cash in your wallet. I'm in no way suggesting that you throw yourself into a prison of debt. Not at all. Over leverage is such a destructive force in our civilizations today. Just so nature, you know prosperity is coming and perform acts that make you feel like have plenty. Ever increasing gratitude, well, we have discussed that one a lot over our journey together. Continue opening your heart to everything and everyone in your life. Bless your money when you pay a bill. Bless the cashiers at the grocery store and the farmer who's harvested your food. Bless the motorist who lets you into a line in a traffic and the musician who write the songs that become a soundtrack of your life. Bless your legs for carrying you all these years, your eyes for allowing you to witness beauty, and your heart for allowing you to feel alive. An extreme value delivery just means giving others, teammates, customers, family members, and strangers exponentially more benefit than they ever could expect from you. Because we reap what we sow. Developing and then armor planting your prosperity consciousness will realize quantum gains in your income and personal net worth. So please get this piece right. Much of sadness in our culture is because too many of us don't have enough money. This need not to be so. What next? Wondered the artist as he pulled a robust grab of a wine and swallowed it whole. The billionaire pulled a man- miniature running shoe from the case, saying, "Exercise is definitely a magic charm. Read the letter I wrote for you both that goes with it." The letter said, "The billionaire Maxim 7, optimal health, maximize your power to produce magic. Exercising first things in the morning gets the primary win of taking care of your health out of the way. This all important activity is now done, leaving your cognition, energy, psychology, and a spirit primed to create wonder within your days. When you begin to work out each morning consistently, you will surprised by how poorly you feel when you miss a day. You will realize that this is how you felt most of the time before you embraced this habit. You just weren't aware of it because feeling low was your usual state of being. Peak health really is a true wealth. Those who lose their good health spend the rest of their lives trying to recover it. Uncommon vitality is also a marvelous method to grow your prosperity. When you get into the finest fitness of your life, calibrate your nutrition to mastery level, dial in your sleep routine, and minimize aging, you will notice vast increases in your availability to build intimacy with your sovereign self. So you bring on more of your genius glory compassions into our world. This is this in turn will bring you great financial fortune. Much more importantly, you will be placed in position of being able to make bigger contributions. And nothing is as glamorous as helpfulness. Every magician knows this truth well. The eighth symbol was of a tiny mountain climber, NSI. Never stop improving the quality of your morning along with the excellence of your life. The billionaire explained. He then let out one last loud yodel. The vineyard workers looked over and laughed uproariously. Mr. Riley waved and giggled with them. He then carried on with his discourse. The whole game of A paper is to always be rising. When you summit a high peak, you will see the next range of peaks waiting to be scaled. Key metaphor there for you cats. He blew some dirt off the letter that corresponded with magic charm and held it up for his students to see. Here's how it reads. The billionaire Maxim 8. Continue rising your life standards towards absolute world class. Hedonic adaptations describe the psychological circumstances where human beings adapt to environmental and life changes. You receive the pay rise you have wanted for years and you are overjoyed for a days. Then this new income level becomes your new normal. The joy you felt fades, or you move into a noisy apartment close to train tracks, yet over time you stop hearing the trains, or maybe the dream car you just purchased stagger you with excitement until after a few weeks it becomes just another part of the scenery. These are examples of hedonic adaptations in operations, and the phenomenon unfolds for each of us inside all our lives. One antidote to this human way of existence is to consistently increase your personal standards and raise the quality of your life. Make each quarter better than the last, and each year better than the previous one. This is how Titan and Legends roll. Related to this is a very important philosophy that has served me well. Go through life at world class. Life just too short not to treat yourself as amazingly as possible. And you take better care of you. Your relationship with others, with your works, with money, and with the world will be lifted corresponding because your relationship with everything outside of yourself cannot help but be demonstrations of your relationship with all that is within you. This is just the way it is. Invest in the finest book you can buy, and you will be rewarded in multipliers. Eat fantastic food of the highest caliber, even if all you can currently afford is an excellent starter salad at luxurious local restaurant. Go have a coffee at greatest hotel in your city. If where you live has a professional sports team that you love, sit courtside for one game rather than hanging out in a cheap seat for a few seasons. Drive the best car you possibly can. Listen to joyful music daily. Visit an art galleries like I have taught you. So creativity and consciousness of the painter will rub off your soul. And remember, we around flowers often. They rise your frequency as well as your ability to see the alternate universe all visionaries tap into. Why do you think so many of the great saint, seers, healers, and sages kept flowers beside them? You will be pleasantly stunned at what this does for your powers of generate all that you desire. Magic charm number 9 was hurt, and that's what the associated later said. Billionaire Maxim 9, deep you love yields unconquerable joy. Any chance you get, so people love. A quote often attributed to William Penn has guided most of my life and served me wonderfully. It goes, I expected to pass through life but once. If therefore there can be any kindness I can show, or any good things that I can do, any fellow beings, let me do it now and not defer or neglect it, or I shall not pass this way again. Tell people how proud you are of them and how much you love them while you and they are still alive. I once met a man who told me he felt abundant happiness at the very sight of a life. person. Why? I asked him. Because I have seen so many dead people in my life that meeting someone alive is a special gift. He said, not one of us knows when we will face our end. So, why hold back that which is most valuable? Your human capacity to love deeply. Part of your job as a fully alive human is to make people feel better about themselves and to make others smile. It may suck you how little it takes to make someone happy. Write out old school love letter to everyone you care about. Thanks, thank you notes to those who have helped you, and masses you considerations for anyone you think needs some appreciations. Express how you really feel without being limited by the devil's fear of rejections, and always be more interested in other people than being concerned with coming off as an interesting person. Every human being you meet has lessons to teach, a story to tell, and some dream in their heart that longs for your support. Our best selves will be shackled by the caring words we leave unspoken, the warm feeling we fail to deep display, and good deeds we leave undone. Here, take this, please, the tycoon gently requested as he gave his guest a figure of an angel. What's on this page is especially important. I suggested you to read it with a very open spirit. The letter expressed the following: the billionaire Maxim Stein, heaven on earth is a state, not a place. Take a daily voyage into a way and regularly adventure into wonder. Wonder is such a potent source of happiness and a key skills in a promotions of your ever increasing genius. All the great women and men of the world learn how to relax into a magic of a day in, in enchantingly spent. Through my experiments with the life, I now understand that what the immortal philosophers, mystics, and savior called heaven on earth isn't a place to visit but a state you can inhabit. Trust me, as you cultivate your mindset, purify your heart set, optimize your health set, and elevate your soul set, the way you perceive and experience life will revolutionize your experience. But if you don't do this profoundly important work, you will never know. And my words will seem like ramblings of an old eccentric. A sane person in the world gone crazy has always been considered insane, you know. So, as you dedicate more time to personal mastery, and amount of the self love you feel will expand. And the lavish success and the private joys do depend on loving oneself. What keeps you in the bondage to your doubts, insecurities, and fear is a low inner worth. Because of what people told you about yourself in your early childhood, your subconscious mind discounts your braveness, smoothness, your highness, and chain your greatness. As you let go of the false belief that you were taught are truth, and as you release the emotional wounds that closed you to love. And I am speaking of something so much more than romance here. You will develop the ability to sense this all new reality I have been hinting at. It has always been there, but because of the tainted filter through which you were seeing the world, you were blocked them knowing it. Yet nothing is wrong. There has been no waste. All is unfolding as it should. At your end, you will realize that very little of what happened to you was an accident. Everything was for your growth, for your growth, and all was for your good. The entrepreneur and the artist were mildly taken aback when they were shown the 11th and final magic charm. If you really want to play in the magic of life, reflect often on this once, instructed the billionaire as he handed them a miniature coffin. This letter, unlike the previous ones, was written in a red ink. It read, "The billionaire maxim 11. Tomorrow is a bonus, not a right. Postpone not your heroism and never delay your peacefulness. Your life can fall apart within an hour. I am an optimist and genuine merchant of hope, and yet I am also a realist. Accidents, illness, loss, and death happen every day. It humans' natures to think these things will never occur. Yet, all wise philosophers teach us of the transience of our existence. Armed with this insight, connect with your mortality, understand that your days are numbered. And with the passage of each glorious morning, you grow closer to your end. Don't put off expressing your gifts and talents and make certain enjoy this ride. Have a good time as you rise toward your magnificence. It's so sad how most people postpone having a beautiful, fun, and magic, magical life until they are too old to fully savor it. Life absolutely is an sublime journey. Yes, we all experience trials and heartbreak, but it's all mostly good. Every hero story needs to have a villain as well as some juicy tragedy along with the triumph and ultimate victory for it to be a tale worth watching. And so keep the shortness of life at forefront of your focus. Don't put off your happiness until you have more time and you get the promotions and you have more money in the bank. These are excuses born of feelings that you are undeserving. Sense them and then extract them from your orbit so that you can keep ascending into your loftiest realm. Tomorrow is a promise, not a fact. Enjoy every morning and appreciate each day you have on earth. Take bold risks, yet has them with common sense. Balance living like there is no tomorrow, but behaving like you will live forever. So that when the end does come, you will know you lived your life as a majestic testimony to the capacity for legendary that every human being carries inside of them. The billionaire then proceeded to kiss his students. I love you too, you know. I'll really miss you. Then he disappeared into the vineyard, leaving only his mountain bike. Now, at this point, chapter 16 has been ended. Please like videos and subscribe the channel for the future new content. Thank you.